And we welcome you to the 2023 Girls State High School Softball Tournament, being presented here on Video Productions, being presented by one of our many sponsors, including the Elk Family Dentistry. Dr. Joey Atkins and Michaela Gunther at the Elk Family Dentistry are proud supporters of the 2023 West Virginia High School Softball Championship Games. Elk Family Dentistry specializes in family and cosmetic dentistry. Make your appointment today by calling 304-965-6661. Elk Family Dentistry, changing lives one smile at a time. We are here for the title game of the winner's bracket between George Washington and John Marshall. John Marshall defeated Cabell Midland earlier today 3-2 to get here, and George Washington a 4-1 winner over Cabell Midland in order to get here. Or I beg your pardon, not Cabell Midland, but George Washington beat Jefferson, beg your pardon. So we're ready to start the ball game. It'll be Atkins, Barton, and Hawley, the first three batters due up here in the top of the first inning for George Washington. Cabell Midland has eliminated defending champion Jefferson, so the winner of this game will be sitting in the catbird seat, and they'll be in the championship game as the first pitch is swung on and missed, strike one to Atkins. The loser of this game will have to come back tomorrow morning at 9:45 and take on Cabell Midland for the right to take on the winner of this game, if all that makes sense. All right, so it'll be Atkins, Barton, and Hawley, the first three hitters for George Washington. And this ball is fouled at the plate. The count goes to 0-2. But we've been here all morning, through the morning, the afternoon, and now into the evening. And what a pleasant, just great day for softball here in the Kanawha Valley here in South Charleston, West Virginia. Here at Kraft Field, the Rock as they call it. So the count is 0-2 to Atkins. She's the pitcher, the leadoff hitter, trying to help her own cause here. And here comes the 0-2 delivery. And it's on its way and swung on and missed. Actually, it's foul tipped. So Atkins able to stay alive. 0-2 steals the count. Pettit on the mound for John Marshall. England is the catcher. In the outfield from left to right, it's Tucker, Award, and Miller. In the infield from third to first, it's Yoho, Blake, White, and Cumberridge. This ball is hit. It's a fair ball right in front of the plate. England picks it up, throws the ball down to first to record the out. So Atkins grounds out to the catcher. That's the first out of the ball game. And with one out, nobody on, it'll be Barton will be the hitter, the right fielder for George Washington.
Next batter, number 21, Tylee Barton.
Tylee Barton will step to the dish. And here's the pitch. And that's over for a called strike. 0-1 the count to Barton. She bats here in the first inning, top half, with one out and nobody on. And the pitch. Tries to attempt a bunt and misses it. 0-2 now in the hole is Barton. Once again, just a beautiful evening. We've had a little bit of breeze throughout the course of the day here into the evening. And here comes the pitch, and that will miss off the plate. The count goes to 1-2. So 1 ball, 2 strikes to Barton. Passion Hawley waits on deck. Pettit ready for John Marshall. And the delivery. Swung on. This ball's a hit into left field. She got all of that. And a good piece of hitting that time by Barton. So a one-out single to left. And George Washington has its first base runner of the ball game. And Passion Hawley will now be the hitter.
Next up for the Patriots is number 12, Passion Hawley.
Hawley looking down at the third base coach. Getting instructions. Pettit on the mound and ready. And the pitch. Off the plate for ball one. So 1-0 the count to Passion Hawley. Tomlin waits to hit next. One out, runner at first here in the top of the first inning. The championship game of the winner's bracket. And the pitch. That's over for a called strike. The count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. Pettit ready, checks her wristband. And ready to deliver the 1-1. Squares to bunt. And a foul tip into the catcher's mitt for called strike 2. So Holly now in the hole at 1-2. And actually, I guess that wouldn't be a called strike. It would be an actually swinging strike because she did attempt to bunt and foul tipped it into the glove of the catcher for John Marshall. So Holly in the hole at 1-2. And here comes the 1-2 pitch, swung on and fouled back. So the count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes to George Washington's Passion Holly. She's had a couple of hits in the earlier game, had a really solid day playing third base for the Lady Patriots. 1-2 pitch, swung on. It's a little dribbler back to the mound. 1 play only for Pettit. She'll look to throw to first. The runner will advance to second. So Barton makes her way to second, as that was a smart play by Pettit, the only really play she had. And that's a ground out to the pitcher, and there's 2 down, and Tomlin will now be the hitter.
Next up, number 1, Natalie Tomlin.
So Tomlin comes to the dish. With 2 outs and a runner at second. George Washington trying to strike first. They have a runner in scoring position. Cleanup hitter up. And Nat Tomlin. And the pitch. Tomlin was able to hold off. It'll be ball 1. Pettit ready. And here comes the 1-0 delivery. Swung on and fouled. The count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. So 1 ball, 1 strike to Tomlin. 2 out, runner at second. Here in the top of the first inning. And Pettit ready to rocks in the 1-1 pitch, swung on. That's it, right to the second baseman. They had her played perfectly. Good job by John Marshall's second baseman, White. Throws to first to end the inning. Well, they got a hit. They leave a runner middle of the first inning. It's George Washington, nothing. And it's John Marshall coming to bat. You're watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament on Video Productions. And as in time, as in error, like. Welcome you back to South Charleston as we go to the bottom half of the first inning of this championship game of the winner's bracket of this 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament between George Washington and John Marshall. I'm Maris Lowry. Glad you're with us here on Video Production. And also been with us all morning, all afternoon, and into the night. And I don't know how she does it. The wonderful, and I said wonderful, yes, Sydney Mayo. So she's been logging in the hours like all of us have. And actually, she was here before I was this morning, so I'll give her props on that. But she lives a whole lot closer than I do. So still, I'll give her props on that. All right. Getting ready to go to the home half of the first inning. And it'll be Inkland, Tucker, and Blake. The first three hitters due up here in the bottom half of the first inning for the Lady Monarchs of John Marshall. Long trip for John Marshall, probably down here to Charleston, probably every bit of 4 hours. George Washington just over the hill about 10 minutes. So here's Mason Inkland, and the first pitch will be off the plate for ball one. It's the first time George Washington's been to the Girls State Tournament since 2019. So here's the 1-0 pitch. That's swung on and missed, and the count evens at 1-1. Adkins on the mound for George Washington. So 1-1 the count to Inkland. Adkins checks the wristband, steps to the rubber, and ready to deliver the 1-1. That'll be ball two. So 2-1 the count. And the 2-1 pitch. Swung on. That's a solid hit into right field. And that might get between the two outfielders, and it does. It'll roll to the track, and that'll be at least two. Trying for three. The throw to third, and she's out. So that's a hit and throwed out at third. That's a double. And they always tell you in baseball, softball, you never want to make that first out at third or at home. And that's a big play for George Washington's defense. So that goes as a double for Inkland, and then throwed out at third as she is the first out of the ball game for John Marshall in the bottom of the first inning.
Now batting number 7, Peyton Tucker.
So Peyton Tucker will now be the hitter. And that hit is erased because when that ball first was hit, it had some spin on it, and I thought as it did, made it to the track. And Inkland easily had a double and tried to stretch it into a triple, and she gets thrown out. So here's Tucker. And the pitch to her is foul at the plate, 0-1. Tucker going to continue her softball career at the next level and going to be playing college at West Liberty. So 1-1 the count to Peyton Tucker, playing left field here this evening for John Marshall. So 0-1 the count. And here comes the 0-1 pitch to Tucker as Adkins gets set. And the 0-1 offering. Swung on, and it's chopped foul right there just off the plate. 0-2 the count. So no balls and 2 strikes to Peyton Tucker. Ava Blake waits to hit next. Bottom of the first inning, no score. 1 out, nobody on. And the 0-2 coming to Tucker. And that's hit right to the third baseman. Holly does a great job with a nice scoop, and she continues her fine defensive play. She had 3 or 4 balls hit like that to her in the earlier game, in a game in which George Washington wanted to get here, and she had that play perfectly and able to scoop that up and throw the ball across the diamond for the out number 2 of this first inning.
Next for the Lady Monarchs, number 14, Ava Blake.
And that's one thing I've seen. If you hit the ball to the third baseman, Holly, at George Washington, you're going to be out. So with 2 out, nobody on, Blake will now be the hitter. Ava Blake. And the pitch. And that misses for ball 1. And here comes the 1-0 offering. And that's a bit outside, and the count goes 2-0. So 2-0 the count to Blake. George Washington, a 4-1 winner over Jefferson. And John Marshall, 3-2 winner over Cabell Midland. And there's a swing and a miss. 2 balls and a strike. And then in the game we just had, Cabell Midland eliminated the defending champion Jefferson 3-1. So the winner of this game will be in the catbird seat. They'll be advancing to the championship game. The loser will have to play an elimination game tomorrow at 9:45 against Cabell Midland. This pitch misses and it goes to 3-1. 2 out, nobody on here. Home half the first inning in a scoreless game. Atkins is ready and set to deliver the 3-1. And that'll be a call to strike, and the count goes full at 3-2. So 3-2 to Ava Blake. If she can keep the inning alive, Pettit would be next. And we're ready for the payoff pitch. And here it is. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So that's the end of the first inning. A hit and nobody left. And after one, no score between John Marshall and George Washington. You're watching live stream coverage of the 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament on Video Productions.
The Secondary School Activities Commission serves its 286 member schools and their students by providing
Hi, I'm Heather, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich is getting the perfect bite. It's probably not the first bite, it's the second or the third, with the juicy chicken and the delicious pickle. The bite with the pickle is it. I mean, that is like the magic combination.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. A little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich is the combination of the warm, soft bun against this delicious piece of chicken. The bun is just this soft little hug around the chicken that's so perfect in every bite.
Armstrong.
And we welcome you back to the Rock here at South Charleston as we go to the top half of the second inning. And it'll be the number 5, 6, and 7 hitters due up for the Lady Patriots of George Washington. It'll be Armstrong, Wade, and Thomas. Top of the second, no score. Armstrong, the center fielder for George Washington, leads things off. And Pettit starts her off with the ball, 1-0. Support your local team by advertising with Video Productions. Video Productions is West Virginia's leader providing coverage for high school sports. And if you're interested in putting your product out to the thousands and thousands of people that watch Video Production, as this ball is hit, it's a single back up the middle of center field. So that will be the second hit of the ball game for George Washington, as Armstrong leads off the second inning with a single. But how you can get your product in front of your customers with all the sporting events that Video Production does, you can reach out to me personally, Maris Lowry. You can give me a call at 304-673-8594, or you can email me at Maris, M-A-R-I-S, .Lowry, L-O-W-R-Y, 1962 at gmail.com. So the leadoff hitter's aboard, Armstrong with a single, and Wade is the hitter, and she swings a miss foul. Actually doesn't miss, fouls it off rather, for strike 1. So the second hit of the ball game for George Washington. Barton got a hit in the first inning, and now Armstrong with a hit here to lead things off in the second. Pitch will be off the plate. Count evens at 1 ball, 1 strike. And Pettit ready to deliver the 1-1. And that's swung on and fouled straight back, and the count goes to 1-2. So 1 ball, 2 strikes to to Wade, the first baseman for George Washington. Pettit on the mound for John Marshall rather. And here comes the 1-2 pitch. And that's way outside, and it gets past the catcher, and the runner's going to advance. So Armstrong able to scoot down to second on the wild pitch there. And now with no outs, I have a runner in scoring position. And the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes to Wade. So Pettit ready. It sets to deliver the 2-2 to Wade on its way, and that'll miss, and the count will go full at 3-2. We've had all kinds of exciting plays, but we've yet to have a home run. We've yet to have a ball leave the park in fair territory. Here comes the payoff pitch. On its way, swung on, and this one's fouled. The count will hold at 3-2. Of course, I will have to say the pitching and the defense has been excellent. We've seen some good hits, but overall, the team that has pitched the best and has played the best defense are the teams that are battling out here in South Charleston. And here comes the payoff pitch again, swung on, fouled back again. This is over into the other game just to the left of us. It's only the second time, and I say only the second time, as close as these fields are. I'm surprised that doesn't happen continuously when you've got multi-games going on, one in the field that we're at and the field to our left. Unfortunately, the play had stopped over there, and it wasn't right in the middle of a play. That would not be good. So we'll do it again. The payoff pitch coming to Wade. Pettit set, ready, and delivers the 3-2. And that's swung on. That's hit to the right side. Nice job by the first baseman, or rather the second baseman, to get the ball to the first baseman. And that's what you call a productive out. As Wade able to ground out, but able to advance the runner over to third. And that was a good job by White, able to make the play, the second baseman for John Marshall. So with 1 out, Armstrong now at third. And it'll be Thomas will now be the hitter for George Washington.
Now batting number 7, Kenzie Thomas.
So Kenzie Thomas will now be the hitter. Infield coming in, trying to cut that shows you just how important these runs are. It's a 7-inning game, and in the second inning, John Marshall feels it's important to try to cut that run off the plate. And there's a called strike 0-1. And like I said, over the years of doing these girls softball games, even though there's good hitting, but it's dominated by pitching and defense. 3 or 4 runs will generally be enough to win these games, and that's been the case once again thus far here today. This ball, there's a solid single to right center field. That'll get down. That'll get all the way to the wall. That'll get 1 run in, and something Thomas comes up lame a little bit because she's able to make a double, but when she hit the ball, and I notice now she has a big brace on her right leg, and able to make it to second base. As that ball went all the way to the wall, that's an RBI double by Thomas, and George Washington scores first. They take a 1-0 lead. So to bring up the catcher, Sittler, and I'm sure they will have a courtesy runner for Thomas. With that brace on her leg, and they do have. So the first run of the ball game is scored by George Washington. That's their 3rd hit of the ball game, 2nd this inning.
That's an RBI for Thomas. She'll have a courtesy runner, number 32, Lauren Ballard.
So Ballard will be the courtesy
Next
runner.
Bat is number 8, Ava Sittler.
So it'll be Sittler, the catcher, will be the hitter now for George Washington. 1-0, the Lady Patriots. With a runner at second, 1 out. There's a called strike 0-1. So 1-0 the lead. Pettit ready. Squares to bunt. The catcher misses the ball, and that'll allow Ballard, the courtesy runner, to make it to third. So George Washington right now, with 1 run already in, they have a runner at third and only 1 out. And leading in the ball game 1-0. And the count is 1 ball and 1 strike to the catcher, Ava Sittler. Infield in, and the pitch. Squares to bunt, bunts it in the air. It's caught by the first baseman, and that'll be an out. That'll be the second out of the inning. So with 2 down, runner at third, the number 9 hitter will be up. It'll be Kelly, the shortstop for George Washington. The Lady Patriots have pushed a run across here in the inning, and they lead in the ball game 1-0. A run right now on 3 hits. 2 of them this inning. And here's the pitch to Kelly. And that's swung on, that's popped up. Third baseman comes over, makes the play to end the inning. But not before George Washington able to score one. They strand one, but in the middle of the second, your new score is George Washington 1 and John Marshall 0. You're watching the 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament streaming live here on Video Productions.
Little General Stores has been serving West Virginia communities for almost 5 decades. That's nearly 50 years of providing those essential needs for your daily journey. We are so grateful to be a small part of your lives, and we want to recognize the integral part of our operation, the LG family. We know these last couple years haven't been easy, but with every sunrise and sunset, you keep us going. To the LG family, the moms, dads, sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters of West Virginia, thank you.
We're going to the bottom of the second inning, and Campbell Midland leads John Marshall 1-0, and it'll be the middle of the lineup for the Lady Monarchs. It'll be the number 4, 5, and 6 hitter. Pettit leads things off, trying to help her own cause, and the first pitch is off the plate for ball 1. So it'll be Pettit, a Ward, and a Yoho due up here for John Marshall in the bottom of the second inning. The 4, 5, and 6 hitters for John Marshall as George Washington leads in the ball game 1-0. Here's the pitch, swung on and fouled it into the outfield on the other field. Like I said, there's only, I would say maybe 25, maybe 30 feet tops between the two fields. So there's a lot of room for fans, of course, to pass through between fields, but not a lot of room between the field of one to the field of the other. As here's a little blooper, it's hit into left field, and that's going to fall for a base hit. So that's a leadoff hit by Pettit, helping her own cause there. And that's the second hit of the ball game for John Marshall. So a leadoff single, and that'll bring Ward to the dish.
Now batting, number 23, Reese Ward.
So Reese Ward will be the hitter, the John Marshall center fielder. And they'll have a courtesy runner for Pettit.
Stauffer is going to be the courtesy runner for Pettit.
So Pettit helps her own cause by getting a little bloop single over the third baseman's head in between the third baseman and the left fielder for a leadoff single. And Reese Ward to the plate. And the pitch. And that'll be a called strike, 0-1. Atkins on the hill for George Washington, which sometimes they are referred to as the hill of where George Washington and where their high school is located here in Charleston. There's a bunt attempt, and it's fouled back. And the count now 0-2 to Reese Ward. We're in the bottom of the second inning. 1-0 is the lead for George Washington. They pushed a run across in the top half of this inning. The count is 0-2 to Ward. Pettit led the inning off with a single. They have a courtesy runner for her at first. Here's the pitch, and it'll be a ball, and the count is 1-2. And the 1-2 offering. Counts goes 2-2. Attempted steal. It's successful. The ball's out in the outfield, but not far enough away where the runner can continue. So that's a stolen base. And right now, with nobody out here in the second inning, John Marshall with the runner in scoring position. It counts 2 balls and 2 strikes to Reese Ward. Carly Ayoho waits on deck. So 2-2 the count, and here comes the 2-2 pitch. And that's swung on, that's hit foul down the third baseline. Count will hold at 2-2. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. With a runner at second, nobody out, and 1-0 the lead for George Washington. John Marshall hitting here in the home half of the second inning. Atkins ready on the mound for George Washington. And here comes the pitch. And that swung on, hit right to the third baseman, Holly. Holly with the throw across the diamond for the out. They try to get the double play at third, and it's unsuccessful. So a good heads-up base running, and they slide in safe. But as I told you earlier, if you hit the ball to George Washington's Holly at third base, you are going to be out. And that was the case there with Ward.
Carly Yoho.
But for Ward, it was a productive out because it did advance the runner. So with 1 out, tying run at third, and it'll be Yoho will be the hitter. Carly Yoho for John Marshall. Atkins ready, and the pitch swung on and missed 0-1. When delivery turns around, bunt lays it down. They check the runner to third. They throw to first. They get the runner at first to play at the plate. Not in time. And John Marshall executes it, and they tie the game at 1 apiece. So that was a great job of the way John Marshall manufactured that run. Yoho is out at first. And the throw not in time at the plate, and we're all leaving at 1-1 here in the bottom of the second. So with a run in, 2 out, nobody on. Thayer will now be the hitter. Alexis Thayer, the hitter for John Marshall. She did not play in the earlier game. And the pitch is fouled back. Yeah, she did not play in the win over Cabell Midland. And John Marshall had to rally into that game. They were down 2-0. They tied the game at 2 and then got the go-ahead run, which turned out to be the winning run in the top of the 7th inning when they beat Cabell Midland in the first game this morning, the 9:45 game, when they won that game 3-2. So here comes the 0-1, and the count will even at 1 ball and 1 strike, 1-1 to Thayer. So a leadoff single, and Pettit helped her own cause and gets the game tied at 1 as John Marshall able to manufacture a run. And here comes the 1-1 offering to Thayer. That swung on and missed. The count goes to 1-2. So 1 ball, 2 strikes to Alexis Thayer here in the bottom of the second inning, and which is now a 1-1 tie game between George Washington and John Marshall. The championship game of the winner's bracket of this 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament. And the pitch. Count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Atkins ready. And the 2-2 pitch. Swung on, and that ball is hit down the right field line and is drifting foul, and it is back out of play. So we'll do it again. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 out. A run in here in the second inning for John Marshall. They've tied George Washington at 1 apiece. George Washington got their run in the top half of this inning, and John Marshall has evened it up to this point. And here comes the 2-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. But as I mentioned, John Marshall ties it up. At the end of 2, we're all even at 1 between John Marshall and George Washington here on Video Productions, the 2023 Girls State High School Softball Tournament.
After 2 innings, the score is 1-1 on Field A. Civil and Environmental Consultants is proud to support high school student athletics across West Virginia. Participation in high school sports helps develop leadership and teamwork.
And we're back here, top half of the third inning, in a 1-1 game, as George Washington will have their top of the order up. And the first pitch is ball 1 to Atkins. It'll be Atkins, Barton, and Holly. 1, 2, and 3 here in the third inning. And the pitch is swung on and fouled at the plate, and the count will even at 1 ball, 1 strike. So the loser of this game will have an early wake-up call. Of course, they'll have to play tomorrow at 9:45. They'll take on Cabell Midland. The winner can sleep in a little bit and get ready for an afternoon game. The 1-1 pitch, that's fouled away, and the count goes to 1-2. So Atkins in the hole now, 1-2. Each team got a run in the second inning. George Washington, of course, in the top half, and then John Marshall in the bottom half. We're tied at 1 as GW batting here in the top half of inning number 3. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Atkins. Swung on, fouled at the plate, and we'll do it again. Count will hold at 1-2. So here comes the 1-2 pitch. And that will be called strike 3. Right there for a minute, wasn't sure. The umpire kind of hesitated, and then he rings her up for the first out of the third inning. So Atkins is out on strikes. 1 down, nobody on. And Barton will now be the hitter.
Number 21, Tylee Barton.
So Barton will hit with 1 out, nobody aboard here in the third inning. And this pitch is swung on. That ball is sliced down the right field line and sliced foul out of play. So 0-1 is the count to Barton. And here comes the 0-1 pitch, and she lays down a bunt, but it's a little too strong. Right back to Pettit, and Pettit went to throw, and there was no one covering there. And then by that time she got the ball over there, the hustling Barton beats it out, and that'll be an infield hit. So that'll be the fourth hit of the ball game for George Washington.
12, Passion Holly.
And Passion Holly will now be the hitter. She grounded out to the pitcher her first at bat. She's 0 for 1 in the ball game. And the pitch. That swung on and hit foul down the first baseline. The count will be 0-1. So 0-1 the count to Passion Holly, the third baseman for the Lady Patriots of George Washington. And here comes the 0-1 pitch. That backs Holly off the plate. Inside, the count evens at 1-1. So 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, a runner on. We're in the third inning in a 1-1 game. And there's a called strike, 1-2 the count to Holly. So Pettit ready to deliver the 1-2 pitch to Passion Holly. Pettit checks her wristband. And deals the 1-2, swung on and fouled back. And the count will hold again at 1 ball and 2 strikes. One and 2 the count. Pettit ready. Rocks, deals, 1-2. Swung on a comebacker. They'll throw to second. They'll get the out there. Will they get the double play? They do. That's a nice play. Great defensive play that time by John Marshall. They turned the 2. And with the double play, that ends the inning. Middle of the thirds, tied at 1 between George Washington and John Marshall. You're watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament here on Video Productions.
No matter what it is you need, you'll find it at your local Par-Mar store. From gas to groceries, snacks, and everything else you always seem to run out of, Par-Mar stores has it. Need more savings? Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. You won't only see our stores in your neighborhoods, you'll see us in your neighborhoods too. We are proud to be in your town and proud to be a part of the community. Come see us at Par-Mar stores, and remember, if there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
The Health Plan is a proud partner with the West Virginia SSAC and has been your most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Log on to healthplan.org for more information.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
Sydney Mayo is producing and directing. I'm Maris Lowry as we welcome you back. As the first pitch is ball 1, as it'll be the number 9 hitter, actually be the 8, be 8-9-1 due up here for John Marshall here in the third inning. White to lead things off. And the pitch will be ball 2. So 2-0 the count to Kaylee White, leading things off here for John Marshall here in the third inning. A 1-1 game. And the pitch, there's a called strike. So it's 2-1. Winner of this will just sit and wait to see who they'll play in the title game, because this is the championship game of the winner's bracket. The loser will take on Cabell Midland at 9:45 tomorrow morning in an elimination game. Here's the pitch, swung on and missed, and the count evens to 2 balls and 2 strikes. We're here in the bottom half of the third inning in a 1-1 game between John Marshall and George Washington. And here's the 2-2 offering. And that misses. The count goes full at 3-2. So here comes the payoff pitch. And the 3-2 swung on and hit foul down the third baseline. Count will hold. We'll do it again. And 3 balls, 2 strikes. The payoff pitch coming to Kaylee White. Adkins on the mound for George Washington. Checks her wristband, gets to the rubber, and ready to deal the payoff pitch. And here it is, swung on. This one's chopped foul down the third base side, right in front of the John Marshall dugout. So we'll do it again, the payoff pitch. And here comes the 3-2 offering. That's swung on, and that will be foul. That's on down the line. Down, out of play, down the left field line. So we'll do it again. The count still holds at 3 balls and 2 strikes. This is the leadoff hitter in the bottom half of the third inning for John Marshall. And the 3-2 pitch swung on. This ball's hit to left field. The left fielder came in. Now they're going back, and the ball's over her head. The left fielder, I think, was playing a little too shallow. And here's all the way to third in a triple. The ball was hit to left field, and Tomlin, I think, was playing a little shallow and then realized she was too shallow and tried to go back on the ball. By that time, the ball was over her head, and there's a leadoff triple for White.
Next batter, number 6, A.C. Cumberledge.
So Cumberledge will now be the hitter. And John Marshall with a golden opportunity to take their first lead. As that'll be the third hit of the ball game for John Marshall, a leadoff triple. But the one thing I think Tomlin once again was playing a little too shallow, and then when she realized that ball was over her head, she couldn't regroup. As the first pitch to Cumberledge is a ball. So 1-0 the count. And here's the 1-0 pitch. And that'll be ball 2. So White's the runner at third, with a leadoff triple here in the bottom half of the third inning. And the pitch. That's a called strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. Infield in for George Washington. The 3-1 pitch swung on. Ball's hit to the shortstop. Nice job by bringing that infield in to try to cut off that run. And a good job by Kelly, the shortstop of George Washington, as she records the out. With a throw over to first base, and Cumberledge is out.
Number 8, the catcher, Mason Inkland.
So Inkland will now be the hitter, go back to the top of the order. And Mason Inkland will now hit with a 1 out and a runner at third. And Inkland doubled in the first inning and then tried to stretch that into a triple and got thrown out at third. So she's 1 for 1. Infield in again, trying to cut off that run at the plate. And the pitch. And that'll miss for ball 1. So here comes the 1-0 pitch to Inkland. Swung on, a little blooper, and it's going to be an out. It is caught in foul ground by the first baseman, and obviously not deep enough for the runner at third to tag. So Inkland's out, the second out of the inning.
Now batting number 7, Peyton Tucker.
And Tucker will now be the hitter. So let's see if Tucker can deliver a 2-out hit. White has been stranded at third from the 2 previous hitters after she led off this inning with a triple. So here's the pitch. It'll be ball 1 to Tucker. Tucker grounded out her first time up. She's 0 for 1. And the 0-1 pitch. That'll be a called strike, and the count evens at 1 ball, 1 strike. One and 1 to count. The go-ahead run at third base here in the top of the third inning for John Marshall. Or rather, the bottom half of the third, rather. I beg your pardon. And here comes the pitch. Swung on. This is a little dribbler. The first baseman able to make the play and get the out, and they get out of it. So a leadoff triple, and George Washington's able to get out of the inning. So at the end of 3, we're all tied at 1-up between George Washington and John Marshall. Watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament on Video Productions.
Medicine Institute is proud to provide athletic training services.
Wear it every day, so let's make your smile a priority. Dr. Jody Atkins and the friendly staff at Elk Family Dentistry are here to help you have a smile you can be proud of. Dr. Atkins treats patients of all ages for preventative and cosmetic dentistry. Make your appointment today by calling 304-965-6661. Elk Family Dentistry, making your life better with a beautiful smile.
As we welcome you back to South Charleston, third inning line score, 1-3-0 for George Washington, 1-4-0 for John Marshall. Third inning line score brought to you by Elk Family Dentistry, as Elk Family Dentistry are proud to support the 2023 West Virginia High School Softball Championships. As there's a ground out as I'm talking, ground out to first, or was that a foul ball? I think that was maybe a foul ball. It was a little bit out of my range, and I was talking. That is a foul ball. Anyway, Elk Family Dentistry, proud to support the 2023 West Virginia High School Softball Championships. Elk Family Dentistry specializes in family and cosmetic dentistry. Make your appointment today. Call them at 304-965-6661. So if I understand that right, that was just a foul ball. No, she actually made it to on base. I beg your pardon. Where we're seated here, we can't exactly see the whole field. And it's through no one's fault, just don't have the facilities at the moment of this. So that goes as a hit. So that'll be a leadoff hit. And this ball was popped up in the infield. The shortstop will come over Blake and make the play. And that will retire the hitter. So Armstrong's out. The first out of the inning.
Now batting number 13, Carolyn Wade.
And with 1 out, that'll bring Wade to the dish. So that'll be the 4th hit of the ball game for George Washington. And like I said, it was out of my sight there when the ball was hit down the first baseline. Squares the bunt. Runner goes. A throw down to second, and she's safe. So Tomlin successfully steals the bag. And she's at second with one out. And the count is 0-1 to Wade. And here comes the 0-1 delivery. And that will miss, and the count evens at 1-1. So with one out, George Washington with a runner in scoring position with a chance to regain the lead as they bat here in the top half of the fourth inning in a 1-1 game. The pitch swung on and fouled back. Count 1-2 And ball hit one of the tents and kind of pinballed its way down the fence. So 1-2, 1 out here in the fourth inning. Tomlin at second for George Washington in scoring position. And now looks like to be a question with the softball. The one they had, apparently the two they had, they're going to put those out of play. And use a new softball. So the count is 1-2 to Wade. And here comes the 1-2 pitch. Swung on. This ball's driven down the right field line and curving foul and back out of play. So the count will hold at 1-2. Wade digs in the batter's box. Pettit ready. And the 1-2 pitch. And that'll be a ball. The count evens at 2-2. So 2-2 to Wade with Tomlin at second, 1 out. And here comes the 2-2 pitch. And that'll miss, and the count will go full at 3-2. So 3-2 the count to Wade. Pettit ready, set, and delivers the payoff pitch, and that'll be ball 4. So there's a 1-out walk. 2-1 with 1 out for George Washington. Runners at first and second. And the hitter will now be Thomas. She delivered an RBI double back in the second inning. She's 1 for 1.
Next up, number 7, Kenzie Thomas.
So Thomas will be the hitter. Got that big brace on her right knee. And 2-1 and 1 out. And there's a strike, 0-1. So here comes the 0-1 pitch to Thomas. Swung on and missed. That was way outside of the strike zone, and they got Thomas to chase it. And the count now goes to 0-2. So 2-1, 1 out. A 1-1 game here in the fourth inning. Pettit gets ready to deliver the 1-2, or the 0-2 rather, and here it comes. Swung on. That's back up the middle. That's a base hit. He'll send the runner home, play at the plate. It'll be cut off, and George Washington is back in front as once again it is Thomas that delivers with her second RBI hit. And she had an RBI double back in the second, and now she delivers with an RBI single here in the fourth, and she'll take second on the throw. Or beg your pardon, they have runners at first and second. And the RBI single to make it 2-1 in favor of George Washington. Now they have runners at first and second. And Sittler will now be the hitter for George Washington. But Thomas has delivered with two big RBI hits, a double and now a single. There's a swing and a miss for strike one. So Sittler, the hitter, 2-1 and a run in. And the pitch. Swung on. This is a little looper to the second baseman. They'll get a double play and get out of the inning. But not before George Washington takes the lead. Middle of the fourth, it's George Washington 2 and John Marshall 1. You're watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament here on Video Productions.
Little General Stores has been serving West Virginia communities for almost 5 decades. That's nearly 50 years of providing those essential needs for your daily journey. 18,250 days of fueling and feeding. We are so grateful to be a small part of your lives, and we want to recognize the integral part of our operation, the LG family. The managers who open early and close late. The cashiers who always have a smile. The bakers, sandwich artists, and cooks who keep our cravings at bay. The maintenance crew who work hard to fix problems as they arise. We know these last couple years haven't been easy, but with every sunrise and sunset, you keep us going. To the LG family, the moms, dads, sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters of West Virginia, thank you.
And we welcome you back to the Rock here is what they call it, Kraft Field here at South Charleston, here at this 2023 Girls State High School Softball Tournament. Glad you're watching this streaming live coverage here on Video Productions. Speaking of Video Productions, you can support your local team with advertising with Video Production. Video Productions is West Virginia's leader in providing coverage for high school sports in the great state of West Virginia. Of all the things that Video Production covers, if you want to know how your business can be a part of it, you can reach out to me personally, Maris Lowry. You can email me, Maris, M-A-R-I-S, .Lowry, L-O-W-E-R-Y, 1962 at gmail.com. As we start play here for John Marshall here in the bottom of the fourth inning. You can also reach out by phone. You can call me directly at 304-673-8594, and how you can be a part of all the good things that Video Production does, and how you can attach your business to the great sport, which is high school sports throughout the great state of West Virginia. All right, here's a big cut and a miss, as it'll be Blake leading things off, the number 3 hitter for John Marshall, and the count's 1-1. The number 3 hitter, Blake, followed by the number 4 hitter, the pitcher, Pettit, and the number 5 hitter, Ward. So Blake was a strikeout victim back in the first inning. She's 0 for 1. As she bats here in the bottom half of the fourth inning, and a 2-1 George Washington lead. And the pitch. And the count will go to 2 balls and 1 strike. So 2-1 the count. Two and 1 to Blake, and the pitch. That'll miss, and the count will go to 3 balls and 1 strike. So 3-1 the count to Ava Blake. And the 3-1 pitch. And that'll miss ball 4. So the leadoff runner, or the leadoff hitter, I should say, is now the base runner, as that's a leadoff walk here in the fourth inning. And that'll bring Pettit to the dish. She got a hit and scored the only John Marshall run thus far. A run, 4 hits for John Marshall, 2 runs, 5 hits for George Washington. Looks like the George Washington catcher perhaps shaken up a little bit on that last play. She's needing a moment to kind of collect herself. So Blake draws a walk to lead things off for John Marshall here in the 4th inning. As they take a look at Sittler, the catcher for George Washington. I really didn't see what happened on the play. Apparently she has shaken up a little bit. That's why we have a stoppage in play right now. So apparently she's going to be okay and she'll stay in the game. And Pettit will now be the hitter. She helped her own cause by getting a hit and scoring the lone run in the 2nd inning for John Marshall. Well, she got the hit, but the run was scored by the courtesy runner. She squares to bunt. And trying a little sacrifice here to give up an out, perhaps to move the runner over. We'll see what they do. And now she pulls the bat back and does not attempt to bunt. And the pitch misses for ball 1. So here comes the 1-0. And that'll be ball 2. 2-0. So 2-0 the count to Pettit. She's squaring like she's going to bunt. Now let's see, she's going to pull back and probably not bunt. And the 2-0 pitch. And that's way out of the strike zone. It's 3-0. So Adkins having problems finding the plate. Walk Blake to lead off the inning, and now behind 3-0 to Pettit. And here comes the 3-0 delivery. And that'll be over for a called strike, 3-1. So the count's 3-1. And here comes the 3-1 pitch. And that was ball 4, so throw didn't matter. So to start the 4th inning is back-to-back walks. And now runners are at 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Blake walked and now Pettit walked, and Ward will be the hitter. She's 0 for 1, grounded out to 3rd, her only time at bat back in the 2nd inning. So we'll have a courtesy runner as Pettit draws the walk.
Number 4, Kaylee Stopper will be the courtesy runner for Pettit. Your next batter is number 23, Reese Ward.
So Ward will now be the hitter. And John Marshall got something going with 2 on and nobody out. Back-to-back walks. Ward, the John Marshall center fielder, at the dish. And here comes the pitch. And that's swung on. That's a fair ball down the line into the corner, down to left field. This will get the game tied with 1 run in. They'll hold the runner up at 3rd, and that's a double by Ward. As Ward jumps on the first pitch. And we're all even at 2 as she hits a double down the left field line. So potential maybe to have a big inning for John Marshall. A run in, still nobody out, runners at 3rd and 2nd. And let's see if George Washington's going to make a pitch and change. As the game is now tied at 2. And there's a meeting at the mound. But Adkins started this inning with a walk to Blake, then a walk to Pettit, and then a double down the left field line by Ward. And John Marshall has rallied back to tie the ball game.
Now batting for John
And
Marshall,
now with an opportunity
24, Carly Yoho.
to gain their first lead of the night. As Yoho will now be the hitter. And the infield's got to come in. Runners at third and second. Nobody out. A run already in. Game tied at 2 here in the home half of the fourth inning. And John Marshall looking to take their first lead of the ball game. And the pitch. Ball 1. So the infield in all the way around for George Washington.
Please stay clear of all the scaffolding in the outfield. Please remain clear of the
And here comes the 1-0.
in the outfield.
And that'll miss. And it'll be 2-0. So Adkins, for whatever reason, has not been able to find the plate in this inning. And that's really got herself and her team in trouble right now. John Marshall with a chance to have a really big inning. They've already got 1 across. 2 are on, nobody out. And here comes the 2-0 pitch. Swung on. It's a little dribble to third. Holly can't handle it, makes the play. They're going to get the out at first. Or beg your pardon, the out at home. That's going to be the first out. And that's something you never want to do is make the first out at third or at home. And Holly, I told you, if you hit the ball to her, you're going to be out. That's a fielder's choice for Yoho. But more importantly, the courtesy runner's thrown out by Holly. And that puts runners at first and second. That's a very big play in this game. Thayer will now be the hitter. And this ball is hit hard, but it hit foul down the right field line. 0-1 the count. Thayer, a strikeout victim back in the second inning. We're even at 2 with 1 out here in the bottom of the fourth inning. And the pitch. Swung on and missed. So Thayer now in the hole at 0-2. No balls and 2 strikes to Thayer. 2-2 game. 2 on, 1 out. And the pitch. And that's way off the plate. The count goes full. To 3-2. So here comes the payoff pitch. I beg your pardon. That evens the count of 2-2. And the 2-2 to Thayer. Swung on. This ball is hit to Holly. She'll go to the bag for 1 out. She'll make the long throw. It'll be safe at first. But she got the lead runner. She made the smart play. And that's the second out of the inning.
Next batter is number 5, Kaylee White.
So runners at first and second. So what could have really been a big inning, and it still may be, though, kind of hangs in the balance now with White, the hitter. She tripled back in the third inning, was stranded there. John Marshall able to get 1 run. This ball was hit, and it'll get through with a base hit. Rounding third, here comes the go-ahead run, and John Marshall takes their first lead. As for the second time, White delivers, and this time with an RBI single, and John Marshall is now in front by the score of 3-2.
Next up, your first baseman, number 6, A.C. Cumberledge.
So 2 runs have crossed the dish here in this bottom of the fourth inning, and John Marshall has taken their first lead as John Marshall has scored 2 here in the 4th inning, and they lead the ball game 3-2. Cumberledge will now be the hitter. We'll have a courtesy runner.
Number 3, Nia Miller is going to pitch one for Thayer.
So White able to deliver her 2nd hit of the ball game. She had a leadoff triple in the 3rd, got stranded there, but now delivers a big 2-out RBI single to right. And a 1-run lead of 3-2, their first of the night for John Marshall. And the pitch. Swung on. This is a little looper. The second baseman can't make the play. That'll be an error, and that'll allow another run to score. And John Marshall has put 3 across, and that's the first error of the ball game. As Cumberledge a little blooper to second base, and that should have been caught. And that'll be an error on the second baseman, but another run will score. And that's 3 runs in the inning for John Marshall, and they have now taken a 4-2 lead.
With number 8, Mason Inclin.
So now we'll go back to the top of the order, and Inclin will be the hitter. And even though John Marshall's got 3, they're not done yet. This could have been a much, much bigger inning. And this ball's hit right back up the middle. Here's another run in as the play to the plate, not going to be in time. And another 2-out RBI hit by John Marshall, this time by Inclin, and that's the 4th run of the inning. And John Marshall has added to their lead.
Next batter is number 7, Peyton Tucker.
It's a 5-2 lead now. They've plated 4 runs here in the inning.
Number 2, Tori Finley is going to courtesy run for the catcher.
And this will be the 9th hitter. And this all started with a walk. When Ava Blake walked, there's been a couple of walks. They've had 3 straight hits. And John Marshall's gotten busy here in the 4th inning. They've scored 4, and they've now taken a 5-2 lead. And this will be the 9th hitter to bat this inning. It'll be Tucker. Peyton Tucker. And the pitch. Swung on. This ball is hit to center field. Center fielder is going to run. Won't be able to make the play. Overhead. Off the wall. 1 run in. Another run in. And rounding third and holding up. It'll be a triple for Tucker as she delivers with a big 2 RBI triple. And a very big inning for John Marshall to take a 7-2 lead. 6 runs here in the inning.
John Marshall, shortstop. Number 14, Ava Blake.
And this will be the 10th hitter to bat in this inning. Blake led off the inning with a walk, and it's been a merry-go-round for John Marshall. 6 runs. And John Marshall to add as this pitch gets past the catcher, and another run is in. And it's now 7-2. Make that 8-2. Six runs in the inning. 7 runs in the inning. And they had a runner thrown out at the plate. This ball's hit to Holly. Holly will make the throw across the infield to finally get the out, but George Washington glad to get out of this inning as John Marshall does major damage. They scored 7 times, and after 4, your new score is 8-2 in favor of John Marshall. You're watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State High School Softball Tournament on Video Productions.
George Washington 2.
You wear it every day, so let's make your smile a priority. Dr. Joey Atkins and the friendly staff at Elk Family Dentistry are here to help you have a smile you can be proud of. Dr. Atkins treats patients of all ages for preventative and cosmetic dentistry. Make your appointment today by calling 304-965-6661. Elk Family Dentistry, making your life better with a beautiful smile.
Hi, I'm Heather, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich is getting the perfect bite. It's probably not the first bite, it's the second or the third, with the juicy chicken and the delicious pickle. The bite with the pickle is it. I mean, that is like the magic combination.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. A little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich is the combination of the warm, soft bun against this delicious piece of chicken. The bun is just this soft little hug around the chicken that's so perfect in every bite.
Got to get our collective breaths as what a big inning for John Marshall as they push 7 across in the fourth as we go to inning number 5, and it's an 8-2 lead. And leading things off for George Washington is going to be Kelly, the number 9 hitter. It'll be 9-1-2, but a 7-run fourth inning for John Marshall. And it could have been worse because they did have a runner. In fact, the first out that was committed by John Marshall as that ball was foul was thrown out at the plate. So the first out of the inning was an out at home plate, and then they were able to still push 7 runs across the dish after that and take an 8-2 lead. George Washington with a run in the second, a run in the fourth, and then a 1 run for John Marshall in the second, as I mentioned, in the bottom of the fourth, last half inning, a big 7-run inning. As this ball is fouled at the plate, the count is 0-2. But George Washington struggled on the mound with walks, had an error, but the bats were really alive for John Marshall. They got 8 runs now and 7 hits. So here comes the pitch to Kelly, and the count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. So it'll be Kelly, Atkins, and Barton, the top 3 batters for George Washington here in this inning. And the 1-2 pitch swung on. That ball's a little dribbler to the third baseman. Fielded cleanly, and they throw to first to get the out. Yoho on the play at third. That's the first out of the inning. And with 1 out and nobody on, it'll go back to the top of the order. And Atkins will now be the hitter. Alexis Atkins. Right now, all the momentum with John Marshall.
Back to the top of the order.
As they lead at 8-2 in the 5th.
Alexis Atkins.
So Alexis Atkins, the hitter. And it'll be ball 1. Atkins is 0 for 2. She grounded out and struck out. And the pitch swung on. This ball's hit to the shortstop. It is thrown over to first. And I beg your pardon, I had said that Kelly was out at first. She is not. And I beg your pardon for that. I told you our angle is very difficult sometimes to see.
Now batting number 21, Tylee Barton.
So Barton will be the hitter. There's a runner now at second for George Washington. And that'll be ball 1. And actually, that might be a strike as they're going to appeal the call. They do, and it's a called strike. Like I said, this is a great facility, but where we're located in the press box, I cannot see the whole field. And with the limited room in the press box, I can't really see our monitor as well, as there's a swing and a miss. So I beg your pardon for, I know if you're watching at home and like, how am I not seeing what would seem to be relatively easy things, is because, like I said, we're very limited. It's a great facility, but these turf fields came after all the press facilities were already built. So just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate that. Here's a swing and a miss, And now that's the second out of the inning. So Barton's out on strikes, and with 2 out and a runner on second, it'll be Holly. Passion Holly will be the hitter.
Next up, your third baseman for George Washington, number 12, Passion Holly.
So Holly will hit with 2 out and a runner at second. And she gets hit by the pitch, and she'll take her base. So that'll be 2 on. So now we've had a hit by a pitch, we've had errors, we've had singles, doubles, triples, but we've yet to have a home run through 2 to 3.5 games. We've not had the ball leave the yard in fair ground. So there's 2 out and 2 on. And Tomlin will be the hitter. Got to hit and scored a run.
Hayden Holcomb will pinch run for Holly. Next batter is number 1, Nat Tomlin.
So Nat Tomlin will now be the hitter. 2 on, 2 out here in the 5th. Pettit ready. The pitch swung on. That's going to be fouled down the third baseline. 0-1. And here comes the 0-1 pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 2. So 0-2 now the count to Tomlin here in the 5th inning. And a 6-run lead for John Marshall at 8-2 in that big 7-run 4th inning. And the 0-2 swung on and fouled at the plate. Count will hold at 0-2. So here comes the 0-2 pitch to Tomlin. The 0-2 pitch on its way. Swung on and missed strike 3. And that's the final out of the 5th inning. Middle of the 5th inning, it's an 8-2 lead for John Marshall over George Washington. You're watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State High School Softball Tournament on Video Productions. We welcome you back to South Charleston as we're going to the bottom of the 5th inning in this championship game of the winner's bracket between John Marshall and George Washington. And right now, John Marshall is in control at 8-2 lead. It was 1-1 at the end of 2, and then George Washington took a 2-1 lead in the top of the 4th inning. But in the bottom of the 4th inning, an inning to go, as John Marshall got busy and they pushed 7 runs across the dish, and they now lead 8-2 as we get ready to start the bottom half of inning number 5.
Number nine is now
So there's been some changes made. We'll get those two as Pettit will lead things off here in the 5th inning. But they hit for the merry-go-round and then some, as more than 9 hitters came to the plate. 7 runs. They had 11 batters that came to the plate last inning to score the 7 runs. And they had 1 of their 3 outs thrown out at the plate. So Pettit will lead things off here in the home half of the 5th inning with a 6-run lead at 8-2 for John Marshall. It'll be the middle of the lineup, 4, 5, and 6. Pettit, Ward, and Yoho. And the pitch. Swung on. This ball's a fly ball. Going back, looking up. It's going to be over their head. It's going to be off the wall. And it'll be a stand-up double for Pettit. The 8th hit of the ball game for John Marshall to go along with their 8 runs and a leadoff double. And for a minute, I thought we were going to have our first home run of the day. So we'll have a courtesy runner for Pettit.
Number 4, Haley Stafford is going to be the courtesy runner for Pettit.
As Pettit has helped her own cause. 2 hits and a base on ball, and she scored a run. And now Ward will be the batter. But it's been a rough outing for Atkins. Partly because she just not have been able to be effective by throwing strikes. Got behind hitters and had to come in, walked a couple of batters, and things just kind of got away. There was an error involved in all that. And that's what happens. Teams are too good, opens the floodgates. So it counts 2-0 to Ward here in the 5th inning. And if John Marshall was able to score, I do think it's an 8-run rule. If they get a couple of runs this inning, I think that would be the ball game. No, it might be 10. I think. I know it's 8 in 3. It's 8 runs after 3 innings. I think 10 now. So actually, they would have to get 4 runs for this game to be over now. So I stand myself correct. I do know that, and I'm not a big fan of 8 runs after 3. I mean, I understand the 10-run rule as you get into the, I think it's the 4th inning of a 7-inning game. But a 7-inning game, if it's 8-0, I think a team can come back in the 3rd. As there's a ball hit to the 3rd baseman, the only play is to 1st. The runner will advance to 3rd as the throw is not in time. So with 1 out, that is a productive out as Ward grounds out for the first out of the 5th inning. And Yoho will now be the hitter. She scored in that big 7-run inning for John Marshall. She'll hit with 1 out and a runner at 3rd. Infield in. Pitch swung on, chop foul. Count will go to 0-1. So that is the rule in softball. It's if you're up by 8-3, the game is over, and the 10-run rule is in to the middle of the 4th into the 5th inning, which we're in the bottom of the 5th inning. So there's no question if John Marshall is able to score 4 runs, the game would be over. There's a bunt laid down, and it's going to be they'll get the out at first. They won't get the out at home, and another run has scored for John Marshall. And that's what you call the safety squeeze. And they'll definitely trade the out for the run, will John Marshall. And they've extended their lead. And they've now scored in the last couple innings, and they've got a run up, and they've added to their lead at 9-2. So we've got a new player into the ball game, and if we can find a roster.
Now batting number 3, Nia Miller.
So Miller will be inserted into the lineup. It's a 9-2 lead for John Marshall. 2 out, nobody on. And this pitch short hops in front of the plate. A ball, a strike, 2 out, bottom of the 5th inning. And a 7-run lead for John Marshall at 9-2. They exploded that big 7-run 4th inning. And there's a ball. 2-1 to count. And here comes the 2-1 to Miller. Swung on and missed the count, evens at 2-2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, a run in. Bottom of the 5th inning. 9-2, a 7-run lead for John Marshall. And this ball will hit in front of the plate. It'll short hop the plate for ball 3. So we're at a full count, 3-2. And the 3-2. Swung on. This is a little loop route into right field, and it's going to be caught for the final out of the inning. Nice job that time by the right fielder for George Washington to make the catch and end the inning, but a run comes across the dish, and they add to the lead, does John Marshall. At the end of 5, your new score, 9-2 John Marshall. You're watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State High School Softball Tournament on Video Productions.
John Marshall 9, George Washington 2.
Hi, I'm Heather, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich is getting the perfect bite. It's probably not the first bite, it's the second or the third, with the juicy chicken and the delicious pickle. The bite with the pickle is it. I mean, that is like the magic combination.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. A little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich is the combination of the warm, soft bun against this delicious piece of chicken. The bun is just this soft little hug around the chicken that's so perfect in every.
And we're back here at South Charleston, here at Kraft Field on the Rock, as they call it, as George Washington comes to bat here, top of the 6th inning, and George Washington's running out of time. They're down 7 runs, 9-2. And leading things off will be Armstrong, the number 5 hitter. 5, 6, and 7 due up for George Washington. Counts 1 ball and 1 strike to Armstrong. She got a hit and scored a run in the 2nd, and then popped out in the 4th. She's 1 for 2. And the pitch swung on and missed. The count goes to 1-2. So unless George Washington can rally, they'll take on Campbell Midland tomorrow at 9:45. Then the winner of that game, if this holds up, would have to beat John Marshall twice to become the state champion. That's how it sets up for tomorrow. So there's called strike 3, and there's the first out of the 6th inning. So with that said, we know we're going to have 2 games tomorrow. Possibly 3, but we know we're going to have 2. And that's a tall task for whomever.
13, Carolyn Wade.
Whether it's George Washington, if they don't rally and win this game, or Cabell Midland, to have to win that game tomorrow and then have to beat George Washington, have to beat John Marshall twice, should things hold up the way they are now. But all you want's a shot, and no matter what happens, if George Washington is not able to rally and come back and win this game, they at least still would have a shot. Even if they don't come back, they've just got to win 3 in a row. And it's been done before. And this ball swung on, popped up into the shallow part of right center, and closer to right, the center fielder comes over, which is Ward to make the catch for the second out of the inning. So 2 up, 2 down. But the one thing about it, it's hard enough to win games anyway, but it might be hard to win 3 games in one day, and that's what would be the case. Cabell Midland already knows they're in that position, that Cabell Midland would have to win 3 straight games. And if this score holds up, they'd have to beat George Washington and beat John Marshall twice. And then as far as George Washington is concerned, if this score continues to hold up the way it is and it's just 4 outs away from being final, that George Washington knows they could rebound, they could beat Cabell Midland, and then have an opportunity to have to beat John Marshall twice. But that's the main thing. You just want an opportunity to be able to do it. So we'll see how it all plays out. But unless George Washington really gets busy, it's going to be Cabell Midland and George Washington at 9:45 in the morning. As Thomas is the hitter, takes a big cut miss. But she's played well, especially she's the designated hitter. Doubled back in the second and singled in the fourth. She has driven in the 2 runs for the Lady Patriots. This ball is hit to the second baseman. It's going to be a tough play to turn around, make the throw, and they got her to end the inning. So that's 3 up, 3 down, and that's how the 6th inning will end in the top half. So go to the bottom of the 6th. Once again, it's a 9-2 lead for John Marshall. You're watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament on Video Productions.
Little General Stores has been serving West Virginia communities for almost 5 decades. That's nearly 50 years of providing those essential needs for your daily journey. We are so grateful to be a small part of your lives, and we want to recognize the integral part of our operation, the LG family. We know these last couple years haven't been easy, but with every sunrise and sunset, you keep us going. To the LG family, the moms, dads, sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters of West Virginia, thank you.
And we welcome you back to South Charleston as we're in the bottom half of the 6th inning. What is a 7-run lead for John Marshall at 9-2. So this is White at the dish, and she's had a big game. Triple, RBI, single. Scored a run, and she was a big part of that 7-run 4th inning, which has turned into a 9-2 lead for John Marshall now here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Being the number 8, 9 and 1 hitters up. This ball is tapped to the third baseman. There's a throw across the diamond, and there's the first out of the inning. And the third baseman is not Holly anymore, and they've got a different third baseman in there. And she made a nice play for the first out of the inning.
Next batter for John Marshall, number 6, AC Cumberledge.
So Cumberledge will now be the hitter. She reached on an error, scored a run. And part of that big, and as a matter of fact, of course, the 7 runs that they pushed across, they had 7 runs back in the 4th inning, and they had a runner thrown out at the plate. So at least 8 of their 9 hitters, as that's going to be a hit into right field for a solid single going the other way. And that's a 1-out hit. So it looks like we may have a change here. Not sure what we got going on here. We are going to have a change. We're going to need a roster here. And we've got, so Stauffer will now be the new hitter. Kaylee Stauffer.
Now hitting for John Marshall, number 4, Kaylee Stauffer.
So Kaylee Stauffer inserted into the lineup. She'll be the batter for John Marshall here in the bottom of the 6th inning. So a 1-out hit by Cumberledge, and she's at first with 1 out. And Stauffer now the hitter. And here's the pitch. And she fouls it back, 0-1. So we know we'll have 2 games tomorrow, possibly 3. So we know if this score stays as it is. As I mentioned, for George Washington, they don't have far to travel. They'll have the early wake-up call, and they'll take on Campbell Midland at 9:45. That would be an elimination game, and then the winner would have to come back, and to win the state title would have to beat John Marshall twice, as there's a foul ball. Which, winning 3 games tomorrow is a very difficult task, but it's not like it's impossible. And you're good enough to get to this point, even though, and I'm sure that's what Campbell Midland will be selling their team, and even if George Washington doesn't rally to come back and win this game, that's also what the coaching staff at GW can sell to their kids, that, they earned the right to get here. And like I said, it is a tall task, but definitely not impossible to win 3 straight games. So 1-2 is the count. And here comes a 1-2 pitch. And the count will even up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. And here comes the 2-2 offering, and that'll miss for ball 3. The count goes full. But, for the beginning of the game, Atkins was moving along pretty good, at least through the first 3 innings. She'd only given up 1 run. But in that 4th inning, she really struggled to find the strike zone, and that ultimately is what done GW in. Here's a 3-2 pitch fouled back. So we got another payoff pitch coming. And Atkins ready, and here delivers the payoff pitch. And that'll be ball 4. So there'll be 2 runners on for John Marshall here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. And there's only 1 out.
Next batter, number 7, Peyton Tucker.
So Peyton Tucker will be the hitter. That's the 3rd base on ball that George Washington has given up in this game. Tucker hits with 2 on and 1 out. And the pitch. Squares to bunt, lays it down. Going to be a tough play. Got a big hop for the 3rd baseman. The throw to first. They get Tucker at first, but she does advance the runners. So she's the 2nd out, is Tucker of the 6th inning. But the sacrifice works. And that will advance the runners to 3rd and 2nd.
Now batting, the John Marshall shortstop.
So Blake will be the hitter.
Number 14, Ava Blake.
So runners at 3rd and 2nd. There are 2 outs. And the pitch to Blake. Swung on. That's a fair ball into the left field corner. That'll get 1. That'll get 2 in. And that'll be a double for Blake, and that will extend the lead to 11-2. And that will be the ball game. So the game is called right there. There's no more to be played. That's the final score. So in a short ending to the game because of the 9-run lead. Like I said, I know that once you got to 8 runs, so the game is over. Final score 11-2. We'll take a break, come back and recap. Final score: John Marshall, they defeat George Washington 11-2. You're watching live streaming coverage of the 2023 Girls State Softball Tournament on Video Productions.
It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right.
Recover.
Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Chocolate milk, the official beverage of high school sports, is brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast.
Farmers and Mechanics Insurance knows West Virginia, and we understand how much all of our high school teams and athletes mean to the communities that we have served for more than 100 years. That's why we're proud of our partnership with the West Virginia SSAC. Their commitment to teach and promote sportsmanship and citizenship is the key to future success. Protecting what matters most to you. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, a proud partner of the West Virginia SSAC.
Thank you. And we welcome you back to Kraft Field, the Rock here at South Charleston. And the final game is in the books, and John Marshall has punched their ticket to the title game in Class AAAs. They beat George Washington by the score of 11-2. It was 11 runs, 10 hits, and no errors for John Marshall. 2 runs, 6 hits, and an error for George Washington. The big inning was the 7-run 4th inning for John Marshall. George Washington got a run in the first. John Marshall tied it with a run in the second. Each team with a run in the second. John Marshall, after being down 2-1, is a run scored by GW at the top of the 4th. Like I said, the 7-run 4th inning. And then they added a run in the 5th, and then they add a couple more here in the 6th, and they win the ball game 11-2. Before we wrap up, I want to thank one of our streaming sponsors, which is the Elk Family Dentistry. Doctors Joey Atkins and Balika Gunther at the Elk Family Dentistry are proud to support the 2023 West Virginia High School Softball Championships. The Elk Family Dentistry specializes in family and cosmetic dentistry. Make your appointment today. Give them a call, 304-965-6661. The Elk Family Dentistry. They're changing lives one smile at a time. So for our entire staff, our entire crew, from Mr. Butch Mounts, the Executive Director of Video Productions, for the hardworking and most talented young lady that has been here with me all day, which is Sydney Mayo. Appreciate her hard work, producing and directing. I'm Maris Lowry, repeating the final score, 11-2 in favor John Marshall. Will be back on the air tomorrow around 9:40, which it'll be an elimination game between Campbell Midland and George Washington. Until then, good night, everybody.